Good afternoon, I'm Ashley, this is Ollie.
Hi everyone.
It's not Ollie, Ashley. Where's Aid? Any jobs going, Aid? Asking for a friend? No? April, any jobs going? Oh, what a great day it's been so far. My name's Ashley, I work for McConnell in the Business Innovation Centre. Very small team, European remit, looking at all things new basically. And a lot of that remit is around culture and transformation and how to change our big train of a print company, which is McConnell, into something new and something more creative. This is Ollie.
Yeah, so I'm the head of custom content and partnerships at The Big Issue, which is a new thing that we're doing that recognises that purpose is becoming a central part of businesses all over the place, and we want to be part of that. We were lucky enough to meet McConnell to do one of these partnerships.
Perfect. Hands up for people who haven't heard of The Big Issue. Very good.
That's great.
Hands up for people who haven't heard of augmented reality. That is also very good. So everyone knows about augmented reality and The Big Issue. So this whole partnership, this Tech for Good story, was about creating basically the world's first augmented reality street paper. We'll go through all the reasons why and why it was powerful throughout the slides. But basically, has anyone ever got in the car, driven somewhere, arrived to a destination an hour later and thought, how the hell did I get here? So this is me generally on my daily commute into the office. Walking along Fleet Street like a zombie, not even looking where I'm going, head in my hands, looking at my phone, not really taking any notice of people. Until I noticed Derek. So Derek was the Big Issue seller on Fleet Street. He's actually a miserable, bitter person.
Sometimes.
He is I actually got to know him very well just by noticing that he was engaging with lots of people. So he basically had his own community. So I was very intrigued to hear what he was talking about, how he built his network of sellers. And equally at the time, we had just spent the past 3 years developing our augmented reality platform. So we kind of had a light bulb moment and thought, what is the best way to launch a product? So CSR is big. The Big Issue are good at CSR, they have very good brand reach, and we can use AR for something good. So use AR to bring these seller stories to life and get them bigger connections and better connections with people. Yeah, so chatting away with Derek, he actually created his own paper. He went rogue and tried to compete against The Big Issue. Yeah, I don't think he's your favourite seller, is he?
Well, you know, we love all of our sellers, obviously, but I would add that they're all working for themselves, which is a wonderful thing about The Big Issue. Is they're not actually employed by us; they're running their own small businesses, and this is one of the. Did anybody know that they're actually? Yeah.
You're stealing the slides.
Oh, sorry.
Slow down. We've got 45 minutes and 10 slides.
Got to do some more walking.
We tried making a promotional video. It was supposed to be 90 seconds long. The first take was about 12 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Just constant chit-chat, which didn't really make much sense.
Hopefully we'll do better now.
Okay, so next up I'm just going to show you a video which really introduces The Big Issue very well. Kind of tells you their story right back from 1991. And then we'll go through some of the key points. Okay.
The key points from that from us were we rely on people engaging with our vendors from the perspective of them not begging, and also that there's a strong emotional connection between our vendors and the public that buy them, and that's kind of what Lord Bird managed to build this amazing brand on, and it really does work. I actually came to The Big Issue from my own social enterprise, which was basically a upcycling company in West London, it's in the same area where Grenfell Tower comes from, and their investment fund invested in us. And none of what we did would have been possible, and that's been a story for like countless other people like me that were running social enterprises. And so it really is an amazing organisation. But obviously, we're in a situation where publishing and print publishing and the whole environment is changing enormously.
Yeah, it's the same with Konica Minolta. That the big issue of a print company, essentially, exactly the same as Konica Minolta. We're both on this very interesting journey where we have to transform because we know that the core business is dying. So the connection made for really good outcomes, I think.
Yeah, and you know what we're trying to figure out. It's been going for 27 years now, and as you know, everyone seems to like recognise our brand, and it's very easy for us to get access for like cool interviews and all of that kind of stuff. But obviously, if we don't figure out a way to adapt to the digital landscape, it probably won't be around for another 30 years, and that's kind of like the main underpinning of why we're doing the custom content partnerships. And you know, I think that the main reason why that's become a problem for us is obviously the competitive landscape has changed now, so there's a lot more free papers that you can get. You can pick up an Evening Standard or a Metro, and also you know, now people are, as I said, they're consuming all of their content digitally rather than through print products. And but underlying, you know, what we're trying to do, you know, homelessness is actually at record levels. So, and we're still providing an enormous amount of value for our vendors. So we really need to figure this out. Otherwise, we're going to be leaving a lot of people who don't have anything else in a bit of a situation, basically. And that's when we started this idea of trying to use different channels to create that emotional engagement.
So after speaking, after overcoming Derek's misery, I kind of had this very interesting idea. How about we augment these stories? How about we make those connections through content consumed on mobile, through content consumed in different ways? How about we connect that with the printed page and the product that has basically got the big issue to where it is? And that was using augmented reality. The key things we wanted to highlight was value. So you've got to add value through the print. If anyone's seen any augmented reality examples in the past couple of years, it's very gimmicky, or it can be very gimmicky. We call it the dancing dinosaurs phase. So you kind of get some promotional content, you download an app, after a while, after a bit of enticement, you download the app, you scan a page, something pops out the page, hey, well done, great, you delete the app, you never look at it again. So we wanted to achieve the opposite of that and basically get people consuming the value we're providing them. One of the biggest challenges with AR is downloading an app. So for this particular magazine and for this particular issue, and from the reach that the big issue have, we had David Tennant doing a special reading. We had Andy Burrows and Matt Haig.
Came up with their own content, with their own song.
Yeah, they did
really cool.
Some really personalised content that could only be accessed through the app. So that exclusive content got people enticed and engaged through the actual work itself. I've actually got a little snippet of it in action. I had a snippet of it in action. Just wanted some stage time, didn't he? So this was the real impactful piece around it. So Anne was the cover story. We had some editorial content of her telling her story, trying to build her network of buyers.
Hello, my name's Anne, and I sell Big Issue in Exeter.
We had a guy promoting his new book. That was stopped at a very convenient time. This is an example of showing print to purchase. So how you can directly link printed content through to an online purchase. And this was the exclusive content from Andy Burrows and Matt Haig.
Matt Haig and Burrows, you're working together as musician and lyricist.
So when we first met with Ollie and Russell from The Big Issue, there was a challenge with knowing where vendors are. I think in London it's quite easy because there's vendors everywhere, mainly on foot. And that was a wow factor. Yeah, so that was the first issue, which was very successful. We'll show you some stats now. So from an internal perspective, this was probably, although it's a very small project, it was probably the biggest PR project in Konica Minolta's history. It's like something that's never been done before, the sort of reach that we got. Internal engagement was extremely high right across the globe. So I think in the system, this page alone has probably received around 100,000 scans from people across the world using it to tell stories to their clients. So a scan is when someone hovers their phone over, showing someone else saying, hey, look how cool this is. So over 100,000 scans, which is very, very impressive. This is probably my biggest sales tool. I'm not a salesman, but I like to tell this story to people. It's great salesman. Very good. We also ran a selfie campaign for the issue. So we made sure that everyone in the UK was going out, buying the magazine, putting it on social, getting people to tell a great story. So this was an internal piece. And for those who looked at the website and expected Gemma and got Ollie, I apologise. This is Gemma here. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today because her granddad died, which is not very nice. But you'll get to see her sometime, I'm sure. Yeah, so we did the internal selfie competition. So from a campaign reach perspective, we had a press reach of more than 40 million people. So we're a very traditional B2B, selling printers, selling IT services. We never get this sort of campaign reach. And off the back of this, from a product launch of augmented reality at Konica Minolta, we have a 1 million plus pipeline already. So with my selfish hat on, and not the CSR hat on, that is very powerful for our organisation. Coverage in 60 plus publications across the globe. These guys were on BBC World Service talking about it. We had a nice piece in the Telegraph. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I won't mention that one. Yeah, and lots of really good internal engagement.
And I guess I think the reason why purpose is such a powerful way to relate to people, whether it's your internal or your external stakeholders, is because life is about more than just making money. Let's be honest. There are no pockets on a shroud, and what we've been doing for 27 years, and there are lots of other great organisations like The Big Issue out there that do that as well. Is trying to be as authentic as we possibly can be about our mission and the reason why we're doing it, and always coming back to the why of what we're doing when we're making any of our decisions. And I think when you do marketing campaigns, if you can find even a commercial product like Generate, because we were able to find a way that commercial activity could create social value as well, that's when the campaign became authentic, and that's why we got the numbers that we've got. And I think that probably works for when you're communicating with anyone, whether it's the press or your own staff, about why you're trying to do the purpose that you're trying to do, if that makes sense. Just to try and really tap into that.
I had a colleague in the office as well. He came to me and he said that he'd been out, bought the magazine, and gone home and shown his wife and kids, because he was so proud to be working for Konica Minolta at this time, because they're doing some really good stuff, which was a very nice moment.
So So I mean, from our perspective, obviously, as a social enterprise, the idea is that, you know, we're not totally reliant on grants. So we try and earn our money that we then distribute to the vendors and to our other beneficiary groups. And from a commercial perspective, you know, we saw an increased perceived value of our print product, and you know, and 3% rise in you know, year-on-year copy sales, which was decent. That's not bad, you know, considering we move on average about 85,000 a week in terms of like volume over the year, with some months being more than others, but on average, you know, that's pretty decent. So, and you know, we've also been able to start the process of moving that out towards other street papers that we inspired, that was referenced in that video. So there are other street papers all over the world that are now going to be looking at doing kind of similar AR partnerships, which is really good too. Yeah, I guess that we've kind of whizzed through that a little bit, but
it was very short and brief. We didn't want it to be too onerous. Should we do questions later? Are we doing questions later? Yeah. Well, we're here. We like and welcome questions. Ollie wasn't here to connect with you all on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think I connected with everyone, which was good.
It's really nice to be here. So I would have loved to have been a little bit more prepared for it, but hopefully that was useful.
Oh, you're very good, Ollie. I told him on
okay.
Tuesday he's coming, so he did a good job.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.